Pigeonholed in his lifetime as a leader or German song composer, Schubert's legacy blossomed after his untimely death at 31. Precociously gifted in music, he started his studies at home before going to a boarding school attached to a major church. After his voice broke and he balked at the rigorous general education standards required for continued attendance, he returned home to his family and trained to be a teacher like his father and brothers. He continued his compositional studies under Antonio Salieri, the leading musician in Vienna. It was then that his gift took off. My name is Dr. Dominique Royam, and I'm a music director, conductor, and a music communicator, here to help you achieve a deeper connection to the music you love. Follow me at social media at Dominique Royam for more content. Let's talk about the life of Schubert. Franz Peter Schubert was born in Himmelpfortgrund, Vienna, on the 31st of January, 1797. The 12th child of Franz Theodor Florian Schubert, a well-known schoolmaster, and Maria Elisabeth Katrina Vetz, Schubert was enrolled in his father's school at an early age and was given his first musical instruction by the family. His brother Ignaz taught him the piano, and his father taught him the violin. He soon surpassed everything that Ignaz could teach him about the keyboard. Schubert was quickly proficient enough in the violin to become the viola player in the family string quartet, writing 10 out of his 20 string quartets in his lifetime for this ensemble. Schubert's father finally found him additional musical training with the choir master of the local parish church, Michael Holzer. Holzer was said apocryphally to have not taught Schubert that much about music, but looked upon Schubert with astonishment and silence. Schubert's musical growth was accelerated by the wide range of music he was exposed to at the church and in his choir participation. It was his singing voice that attracted the attention of Antonio Salieri, the imperial court Kapellmeister, in 1804. Schubert won a coveted scholarship to sing at the court chapel in 1808, which came with a free general education at the Akademisches Gymnasium. The training from his father's school put him in good stead at this prestigious Latin-based school, leading Schubert to receive high marks in all of the subjects, with special commendations in music. One of the more formative experiences at the school was the amateur orchestra. Schubert began playing in the second violin section and became essential to the ensemble, leading the orchestra as guest concertmaster when the principal was away. Schubert also met one of his longest and closest friends at the school, Joseph von Spahn. Their close relationship lasted until Schubert died in 1828. The more well-off Spahn would take Schubert to the opera and the theater and keep him in manuscript paper for his compositions. Along with exposure to the musical greats such as Mozart, Haydn, Haydn's younger brother Michael Haydn, and Beethoven, Schubert was exposed to chamber music, including the German Lied. Most importantly to Schubert were the songs of Johann Rudolf Zumsteg, considered one of the best Lied composers at the turn of the century. Schubert told Spahn that Zumsteg's songs moved him profoundly and that he could revel in them for days on end. Schubert wanted to modernize Zumsteg's song form, in Spahn's words. Schubert would imitate the keys and the structures of the Zumsteg songs, writing long, discursive songs in imitation of the composer. Hagar's Klage is Schubert's earliest surviving song. Based on a text from Genesis, it's over 16 minutes in length. Schubert's other significant influence was Antonio Salieri, the imperial court Kapellmeister. Their association started with that vocal examination in 1804, but by the time Schubert was studying at the Akademisches Gymnasium, the relationship had formalized into student-teacher. Schubert had special permission to leave school 3 days a week to take private composition lessons with Salieri. Schubert even called himself a pupil of Salieri in several early works, trying to drum up support by cashing in on the famous Kapellmeister. Salieri tried to make Schubert into an opera composer and wanted him to abandon the lieder he was writing in the barbarous German language and set Italian poems instead. Schubert did not allow his teacher's dislike of the German language to deter him from setting some of the most prolific German poets of the age, like Goethe, Meyerhofer, and Schiller, the most frequent, and others including Heinrich Heine, Friedrich Rückert, Friedrich Freiherr von Eichendorff, and Wilhelm Müller. 3/4 of Schubert's extensive catalog was written before 1821, before public recognition of his talents. While still living at the seminary, Schubert wrote songs, dances, chamber music, religious works, piano works, and an unfinished opera, along with his first symphony. Schubert precisely dated every composition, so biographers have an excellent record of his musical output. Robert Schumann said, "What a diary is to others, in which their momentary emotions and so forth are recorded, so to Schubert was music paper, to which he entrusted all his moods. His thoroughly musical soul wrote notes where others used words." By the summer of 1812, Schubert's voice had broken and his employment with the court chapel ended. He was nominated for a fellowship to continue to study at the Akademisches Gymnasium, but decided to leave and pursue music. However, at 16 and still an artistic unknown, composing could not support him, so he moved home and began studies at a local teacher training school. Schubert continued his lessons with Salieri and sometimes participated in the musical life of the school. Schubert continued to compose at a breakneck speed. His professional debut as a composer was in 1814 in a performance of his Mass in F for the centennial of the local parish church, Lichtenthal. His brother Ferdinand Schubert played the organ, Schubert's old teacher Michael Holzer prepared the choir, and Schubert conducted. This performance was his first public success, even winning over Schubert's distrusting father. 2 weeks later, Schubert composed one of his first masterpieces, the song Gretchen on Spinnrade, with a text from Goethe's Faust. The piano's right hand imitates the spinning wheel with a circular pattern of 16th notes, a relentless invocation of Gretchen's unease and anxiety. The song is in 3 sections, all circling on Gretchen's remembrances of Faust, climaxing in her mind in the song when she speaks about his kiss. The key of D minor is a focal point, with Schubert wandering away from it, only to be drawn back to it like the perpetual motion of the spinning wheel. Let's hear Kiri Te Kanawa, soprano, and Richard Amner, piano, in a graceful rendition of the song. This is the middle section, leading up to Und auch sein Kuss, one of the 2 climaxes of the song. The word kiss is the only time the spinning wheel has been disturbed other than the very end. Gretchen takes up a few tries to get it back up and running after the disturbance of the remembrance of Faust's kiss, and it is all outlined in Schubert's writing. Schubert's outpouring of song, writing more songs in 1815 than at any other point of his life, managed to take a relatively unremarkable genre, the German Lied, and elevate it to an art form as respectable as a string quartet or the symphony. During Schubert's lifetime, critics and the public paid more attention to song, which fit into the Romantic period aesthetic of love of smaller, more intimate forms. Schubert used material phenomena as metaphors for the psychological states, just like the repeated spinning of 16th notes in Gretchen am Spinnrade. These phenomena are more than just tone painting. They express the dominant mood of the text. Schubert's elevation of the lead includes beautiful lyricism, moving declamation, inventive harmonic motion, a true partnership of voice and piano, and the psychological penetration that functions differently for each song. These traits deepened during his lifetime, but could all be seen in him as early as Gretchen when he was 17. During the next couple of years, Schubert would move in and out of his parents' home, sometimes moving in with friends and taking other teaching jobs. His first big break came in 1818 at the age of 21 when Count Johann Karl Esterhazy hired Schubert to give lessons to his two daughters, Marie, age 15, and Caroline, age 12, at their country estates on the Grand River. The Countess's instruction would continue in Vienna during the winter months, and Schubert would travel to the country estate with them several summers. He relished his freedom away from Vienna, saying, "I live and compose like a god, as if it should always be so." Schubert's thoughts eventually turned to his friends in Vienna. In those years after he left home, his output dropped precipitously. His song compositions dropped from 100 a year to 1 or 2 dozen. He stopped composing larger instrumental forms almost entirely, no quartets or symphonies, except for the Trout Quintet. Written for wealthy arts patron and amateur cellist Sylvester Baumgartner, it included a double bass instead of the standard string quartet plus piano of other quintets of the time. Baumgartner was also taken by Schubert's song Die Forelle that he asked Schubert to include it in the chamber work. Schubert did so in a theme and variation setting for the fourth movement. As is typical for Schubert, the variations do not focus on transformations of the melody, like Beethoven, but in melodic decoration and changes in mood. Its innovative harmonic language makes this work stand out, with rich mediants and chromaticism. Let's hear the third variation of the fourth movement of the Trout Quintet, here played by the Chamber Music Society of Lincoln Center. The third variation follows the pattern of previous variations, where different groups take the lead or melody. In the third variation, it's the cello and the bass. The piano has quick, sparkling 30-second notes, and the other strings have a heartbeat rhythm. Let's take a look at that now. Up until this point, Schubert has not been recognized as a composer in Vienna. A few of his songs have been given public recitals, and an overture has been played at a concert, but no other recognition was forthcoming. This contrasts with both Mozart and Beethoven, who were well known by their 20s. Recognition was coming for Schubert, but it would be a slow undertaking. His songs were becoming more a part of Viennese music making through Schubertats, gatherings of friends and admirers in a private setting for a concert of Schubert's music. Some of his most important friends, like Ignaz von Sonnenlieder, Vogel, Maurice von Schwind, Spahn, and Schubert, would put on these gatherings to further the dissemination of Schubert's music. After Schubert's death, Schwind immortalized one of these gatherings in a sepia drawing, including the main Schubertates. Thank you for joining me in this video about the life of Schubert. Like this video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel for more. What do you want to learn about next? Leave me a comment down below. You can also support the making of these videos on Patreon. These videos take over 20 hours of research to complete, so Patreon is a great way to show your support. The bibliography for this video can be found on my website, dominiqueroyam.com. Interested in seeing my process? I document it on my social media, so follow me for more updates. The handles are listed below. Thanks again, and see you in my next video.